Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome back to the Sunday Scaries. Yep, looks like you're just getting me this week. Yeah, unfortunately, before recording happened, Luke had some personal stuff come on up at home, so he will not be able to be present for the recording of this episode. So this is probably going to be a lot shorter than even our now shortened format is. It's going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be doing the kind of like carded segments like we introduced last week. No, we're just going to take a look at some articles, all provided by the great website Bloody Disgusting, all the stories we were going to talk about. And I'm just going to give some of my thoughts and pose the questions off to you guys here. I want to give you guys, obviously, a weekly news show. Luke does as well. So we figured, I'll just solo this one and then we'll be back at it again next week. So without further ado, we'll kind of start popping into some news stories because, for it being Thanksgiving week here in the States, and I believe Boxing Day was Friday for our friends over in Canada. Forgive me, I don't know if there were any other holidays being celebrated around the world. If there were, happy holidays to all of you, of course. I hope it was great and wonderful. And yeah, unfortunately, most of us have to get back to work again tomorrow. But fear not, because it does seem like we have a couple of great stories to talk about here. A few extra kind of fun ones, some Scream news, which I'm real excited to talk about. Surprisingly, some stuff going on here on YouTube, and hey, we might even be stopping over to talk to a creator of a film that might be involving some of our favorite hairy creatures, the werewolves. So let's dive right into it with our first story. Yep, so we're going to be talking about The Mean One. Yes, the unofficial Grinch horror movie slashes into theaters on December 9th. This is pretty cool. So we talked about this very briefly a few months back, where it got announced. I think at that point it was announced that it was going to be free on YouTube. I think is what they said they were going to be putting it out on, or at least online for free, whether that was Tubi or whatnot. So it's actually going to be getting a limited theatrical release, which I'm super, super excited about. I really, really hope that we'll be able to check this out. It's kind of hit or miss for us here. We're in the great state of Ohio here, so we might have to end up driving a good bit to get to that. But if we can, we absolutely will, because I know in the lead up to this, Luke and I were both super excited about this. I mean, we're kind of getting into this whole, fairy tale, child story kind of horror reimagining that's been going on with Blood and Honey, and now Neverland Nightmares that's going to be following that up. It's one of those things where it's like we're starting to see more of these. And, I guess I'm just going to have to see how they pan out. I don't know if I want to put this one on that same level as those other ones, because they're not the same creators in any sense of the way. So I don't know if that would necessarily be fair to compare. But I mean, like, for the most part, I'm really looking forward to this one, even more so than Blood and Honey, I would say, because this is like really an idea that I had back in high school, where I was like, why don't we see the Grinch just go crazy on the Who's? And that seems to be what we're getting here. Not to mention, we do have the great David Howard Thornton portraying the Grinch. So that's going to be a good bit of fun for all you Terrifier fans. They did give us a little bit of a write up here. And we're going to take a look at that here. But first, before we do that, I do want to check out this poster. I mean, hey, this movie's going to be low budget. We talk about a ton of low budget films on this show. There's nothing wrong with that. If you got an idea and you want to get it out there, absolutely do it. But this is so cool to me. I think that this is going to be a whole lot of fun. The makeup looks great. From all the stuff we've seen, even these little set photos here, it looks fantastic. We all know that David Howard Thornton can, bring a lot with a little, as far as non-speaking roles, which this should have a good bit of dialogue for him. I mean, the Grinch, he gets around and he talks a lot. So I'm very curious to see what he is going to do. But yeah, further right up here in the audacious new parody, The Mean One, with Terrifier's David Howard Thornton, is a hairy, green-skinned grump in the Santa suit, living on a mountain high above the town of Newville. Now, because this is unofficial, obviously they can't use the Grinch or Whoville, but they do a couple of little clever twist to it as we go along here. Despising the holiday season, basically just to wrap that up, he lives on a mountain high above town of Newville, despising the holiday season. Young Cindy Lou, you know who, see, like I said, whose parents were butchered by the mean one 20 Christmases earlier, is returning to town to seek closure. But when the mean one launches a new reign of terror that threatens to destroy Christmas, Cindy finds a bold new purpose, trapping and killing the monster. Yeah, this sounds like so much fun, and I'm really, really hoping that we can get it in theaters with us here. They don't have any kind of listing for showings. We're only about 2 weeks away from its release, so hopefully we'll get there. If not, it is going to follow up on VOD pretty quickly, is what they go on to say. So, it's one of those things where I will definitely will be getting a review of this at some point. I would just love to get this thing out on December 9th if we could. But other than that, man, I think that this could be a great deal of fun. Say what you will. Some of you guys might think that this just looks like garbage, which, hey, it's more power to you. If you don't want to subject yourself to it, I completely understand. But as for me and Luke, I know that we are definitely looking forward to the mean one. So definitely let me know your thoughts on that. Are there any other crazy Christmas characters you'd like to see get kind of the horror movie treatment? I know the Abominable Snowman from Rudolph is one that would be fun, kind of harkening back to one of our first podcasts where we talked about the movie Abominable. But to have that kind of Christmas element could be a lot of fun. Obviously Rudolph in there. We've got a dozen killer Santa movies, but hey, what's one more? There's 100 different ways you could go with this. So I would love to see some more of that, because I think that, Luke and I have been pretty vocal that the Christmas season could always use more horror. But all right, guys, I'm going to drive us right on down to Woodsboro. Unfortunately, that's not where this film is going to be taking place, but because that is the home of Scream, we're going to take a trip on down there, talk about these Scream 6 alleged leaked images. So, yeah, this is kind of what we're looking at here. It happened just a couple days ago. I want to say it was the day before Thanksgiving, so Wednesday. For us here, I mean, it says, November 23rd. So that would make sense. Basically, some images started showing up online. They made their way around on Twitter, and we're going to take a look at a few of them. I got them pulled up here. I get some of this information that I'm about to divulge to you guys here from 3C Films on YouTube. He's got a great channel. Definitely check him out. He's a huge, huge Scream fan. Definitely recommend checking out his channel if you want Scream updates. And of course, the Bloody Disgusting article, which I was showing just now. But so this is one of the alleged photos that we got leaked here. And we have to say alleged because, even though to me this is clear as day, a shot from the trailer, it's one of those things where it's like it could obviously blow up in my face. And then, we're just sitting here with just a throwaway photo. Someone did a really good Photoshop job. But the graininess to it, just the way that it looks a little overexposed in some spots, you can tell that somebody took this with their phone or just ripped it on a really, really bad file and posted out there for us to see. But yeah, obviously we got our cast here, a lot of big names. Kirby's back. A lot of people were giving her crap about the haircut. We all like that classic Kirby haircut. I think it looks fine. But this is great to see. We got the surviving cast from the last one, Jenna Ortega, of course. And they're all kind of walking around what is being kind of pitched to as almost this abandoned movie theater, which could be home to where the killer in this film, or killers, we don't know yet, might be staging some kind of like worship, almost like this kind of not worship, but what do you call that? Like this spot of where they have all of these infamous killers and like all of their get-ups and masks and weapons, kind of like an altar of a sense, maybe more like an art exhibit. But what's going on here that I thought was kind of neat is that they're talking about this being taken from the angle of the actual murders, because the thing that we kind of followed with the last film is that it was following the kind of the upset fandom and the toxic fandom from the Stab movies, which are the movies based off of these killings. But it looks like these killers are more interested in kind of the true crime aspect to the Scream stuff, which, is something that I don't think we've seen a whole lot of. I mean, Gail writes books about it, but those books get turned into Stab movies. But I think that, with all the talk about true crime and just kind of how people idolize that stuff, there's Dahmer recently was shrouded in controversy for glorifying a serial killer and all that. That's one of those things where it's like, okay, this is a cool angle for a new Scream movie. And honestly, what I need to see from this movie, I think, to get me fully on board is just really changing up the formula, because I don't know if I can sit through another one where it's just like, okay, there are no surprises. I was really looking forward to hopefully the killer of Scream 5 being Stu. Obviously, that didn't happen. Sorry if you didn't see the movie, spoilers, I guess. But, I'm still hoping that they'll bring him back in some capacity. We got one more movie after this, so maybe if they don't do it now, we got another chance for it. But, God, I'd love to see Matthew Lillard back on screen. And then we got one more leaked image. Again, we're talking about the quality here. It looks like it's probably pulled from the same person because he got all that graininess there. I know some people online are freaking out about Ghostface using a shotgun. I know his knife is kind of his signature piece, but if you think about it, every single killer, and 3C Films brought this up too, and I totally agree with him. Every single killer at some point or another has reverted to using a gun towards the end of the film, usually after they're demasked. But he's got a good theory on where this could have popped up because, again, this is taking place in New York. I'm not going to steal all that from him there, but I don't personally mind this. The only thing that I would like to talk about, other than the shotgun, with this image is the fact that it is looking like it's a pretty worn down mask, which is something that he expressed was a leak from a few months ago, where people were saying kind of the story was going to revolve around that guy collecting, obviously, older memorabilia from the actual killings. So is this the original mask that Stu used in the first film? I don't know. We're gonna have to see. But I think that this is a really cool shot. I'm curious to see where this goes. We've seen other set photos of the cast in a grocery store. So, I don't think this is from a Stab movie or anything. I think that this is an actual sequence that's going to affect our real characters. But overall, these do get me excited. I know that we're right around the corner from an actual trailer. So we should be getting that here relatively soon. And, I'm super duper excited for it. Even though, again, I must state, not a huge fan of Scream 5. I didn't love it, but it's a classic franchise. I love that first film to death. I even love the second film quite a bit, and number 4. So it's one of those things where it's like I am on the Scream train, but I just had some qualms with the last one. But hey, just like with the Halloween trilogy, even though it didn't work out for me personally, I am willing to take this journey and keep going until they deliver something that I think hits just right. And changing up the setting, setting it up in New York, changing around a few things, I think will add some new life to the Scream franchise. Alrighty, so moving on to our next story here, we got kind of a cool one, one that hits home for us here. So that's why I selected it, because I am a big Dave McRae fan. I do love his channel. He is somebody that I have been following since Halloween 2018's trailer dropped. I remember his stuff popped up in my recommended, and I followed him right away. But he also does a lot of short films. He did, obviously, It's Me, Billy. And I remember this one getting announced years ago. And then obviously he got kind of busy, pandemic happened. So obviously it didn't happen. But it looks like over the last few months, they've been picking it back up. And we got some images this week of the new, basically Freddy fan film, Dylan's New Nightmare, which, obviously there's a bias there. My name's in the title. Just kidding. I actually really enjoy New Nightmare quite a bit. That is one that I'm excited to cover on the podcast at some point. And, the fact that Dave was able to get the original actor Miko Hughes back for this fan film, it's awesome. I mean, it's why I love this community, because we can kind of have these actors who grow up in this industry, and they'll kind of try to distance themselves from projects like horror films. But no, like, I mean, we have certain actors who come in here, like Miko Hughes, who's all for this. He wants to be a part of this project. It's a passion project for Dave and his crew. So why not get it going? And we got some images here. I'm gonna see if I can pull them up. Yeah, perfect. There we go. I'll full screen that shit so we can see. That is Dave McRae in the Freddy makeup. I mean, the dude is a phenomenal voice actor. Um, can't wait to see his portrayal of Freddy. Honestly, the look is damn near perfect. It looks incredible. Going for more of the classic Freddy look than the new Nightmare look, which I find kind of interesting. Obviously, I understand why you'd want to go that route, because it's kind of you know it's going to be not necessarily the lesser of two evils, but it is going to satisfy more fans, I think, to see that version of him. And let me get back here. And we got another look here. I mean, Jesus, dude, like, get this guy in the new Nightmare on Elm Street films when they do decide to reboot that. Because, gee, look at that. Like, that looks fantastic. He's a dead ringer for Robert Englund right there. And I mean, I think the performance is going to be excellent. You can already see from these production stills, this is very high quality. It's going to be very, very interesting to see it pan out. And this is something that Luke and I have kind of thrown back and forth with each other for a while. And then we got a couple other returning actors here as well. But it's something that we've been talking about for a while, covering short films and talking about some of the ones that have been got some infamy on YouTube here, like Never Hike Alone, and obviously the stuff that Dave has created with It's Me Billy and everything like that. And then there's a medley of Halloween short films and fan films that I'd love to talk about. It's definitely something we want to do. I mean, we want to interact more with the community. I think that those would be some great interviews if we could talk to some of those folks who put those together, because yeah, I mean, we write fan films all the time. Like, I mean, at least in our heads, or at least a little bit on paper. It's fun to play with an established property a little bit, because you never know. The chances of myself or Luke getting a chance to do a Nightmare on Elm Street or a Friday the 13th are slim to none. At least at this stage in our lives. So it's one of those things where it's like, if we can do it ourselves and bring something to the table, God, we'd love to. And to see these guys out here doing this and continuing this story from New Nightmare, it's so cool to me. I absolutely love it. And of course, we'll get a look at Miko Hughes here. I mean, it's just his face pretty much. Oh, I guess it's not going to open for me. But yeah, I mean, still great to have him back. Yep. So just so you guys know, it's scheduled for a tentative release in 2023. You can still support the project post-production campaign over on Indiegogo. So if you have not yet donated to Indiegogo, definitely do that if you're interested in seeing this project. I mean, every little bit helps. We saw that with the Shelby Oaks stuff over for Chris Stuckman. Every little bit helps get those movies made. And yeah, I'm super, super excited for this. And I think if you're a Freddy fan or just a horror fan in general, this should excite you as well. Alrighty, getting into our last story. Like I said, it's going to be kind of a short Sunday Scaries with just me here. I don't really have somebody to back and forth with other than you guys in the comments. So feel free to, again, drop a comment. Let me know how you feel about any of these stories. I'd love to talk about them. We've got the trailer for Wolf Manor, which on IMDb goes Scream of the Wolf is kind of what they were entitling it there. This, again, we're massive werewolf movie fans on this channel. It was our first podcast. We talked about werewolf movies and the state of that just back in March. So it's one of those things where it's like, man, anytime a werewolf movie comes out, presents itself, I'm going to talk about it. And this one, by far, from the ones I've seen recently, has me pretty excited. I don't think this does the effects justice. I think this is definitely a little bit pre-rendered, but I loved seeing the effects on display here. Now, there won't be any audio here, but I can throw this up so you guys can kind of see what we're looking at here. as far as the kind of effects. Now, this is low budget again, so we gotta give them some leeway here. But man, what they're able to do, and yeah, I know it's looking a little rough, but yeah, dude, like it's a different kind of look for the beast. I know I like my werewolves to be a bit more, bipedal, or not bipedal, but on all fours, looking a little bit more like American Werewolf in London style. But this one actually looks pretty solid, Like I'm excited to see kind of what they're gonna do here, and the premise is neat too. We'll get into that in a second. But we got a couple of really great shots here towards the end. I'll take that back again real quick so we can get a better look because yeah, it doesn't look bad, man. It looks intimidating. It looks cool. Could it be goofy and kind of out there and maybe just a throwaway on Tubi? Sure. But hey, I think that, for what this is, I'm excited to check it out. I think that, it's also coming to us again on, oh no, sorry, on January 9th, not December 9th, but January 9th, 2023, it'll be available for rent, DVD, and digital download. So, yeah, I think that this is pretty much an easy sell for me. Obviously, werewolf content always is. So, I'll probably hop on there and pick this up and get you guys a review of it. But yeah, to get into it, a little bit of the story here that they have written up on IMDb. Shooting a vampire movie in an old abandoned house should have worked like a dream. However, with the full moon and the nightmares begin, the nightmares begin. The body count rises as the cast and crew encounter the mansion's resident werewolf. So yeah, very cool, interesting idea to kind of have them go in there shooting a movie. Maybe a little bit of a meta approach to it. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm gonna pull this up here because you can also get a pretty good look at the werewolf there. Just seeing that, I think the effects are top notch, man. I'm really really digging that. I like the look of the werewolf there. But then we got Dominic Burnt is who's behind this. I'm not familiar with him. Let's take a look and see if he's done anything of note here that sticks out to me. He's done something called Sky Sharks. Yeah, Talk of the Adult Babies. Yeah, nothing that really sticks out to me. If you guys are familiar with any of these, like Inbred and all that, let me know in the comments if he's definitely somebody that you keep an eye out for. But yeah, I mean, werewolf content, I will never ever turn it down, no matter how low budget or what the quality is to it. I am definitely there for my werewolves. So definitely looking forward to checking this one out. I'm curious to see how Luke feels about it. I know we talked about it very briefly, but I don't know if he had checked out the trailer just yet. But let me know what you guys think of this one. I think it looks pretty good. I think the effects again look solid. The premise is interesting, and I mean, it's probably going to pop up on streaming, within a couple weeks of its release. So it'll probably just be free for some of you to check out. Is this something you're interested in? But yeah, alrighty, that's gonna wrap us up for our stories there, guys. You know, again, apologize for just kind of the short show and the solo layout here. I kind of had to work with what I had. Obviously, Luke had to tend to what he had to tend to. Family comes first and all this. So we hope that everything's going well for him and that everything works out. And I'm sure we'll hear from him sooner rather than later. But yeah, I really think we got a good lineup of stories here, especially for the week of Thanksgiving. Dylan's New Nightmare, I'm super excited to see what Dave McRae whips up. Scream 6 is looking better the more that I see these images. I mean, trailer has got to be right around the corner. And, we're going to be talking about it, doing a full breakdown. And the mean one, of course. I can't talk any more highly about that. I am looking forward to some Grinch slaughter action. But yeah, I guess that's going to wrap it up here for me. As always, you can check us out on our social media with TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Splattercast Pod, as well as check out our most recent podcast where we covered the Texas Chainsaw Massacre in celebration of Thanksgiving, as well as our review of Thanksgiving, which went up. And then, of course, we have a couple of videos coming your way. We're going to be releasing part 2 to our Halloween novelization breakdown, which if you haven't seen that, definitely take a look at that. Good bit of fun. Definitely, I think it's a lot better than Halloween Ends was on film. So it's really nice to kind of have the gaps bridged a little bit in the storytelling. So I'm excited to kind of get back out there and talk about that in the second segment. There's a lot of fun stuff there, as well as our Chucky wrap up video, which will be coming to you in just a couple of days. We're going to talk all season 2, our likes, dislikes, everything there was, go through all the best moments, and just let you know where we sit with it now that we've kind of had a few days since the finale to process everything. But alrighty, guys, that's going to wrap it up here for me. So, I guess until next time, I am Dylan Newell. And remember, stay scared.